Happy Wednesday night and welcome to A Look on the Plus Side. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys, as always, for being with us. We appreciate you. If you haven't already, I don't know why you wouldn't have, but please subscribe to the Park Adventurers Club and give this video a thumbs up or a like, as it helps people to find us. And tonight we've put together this crack squad of people. It's Shannon. What's going on?
You know, a wise stickbug once said, I've always dreamed of being in show business, so I'm so happy to be here, Rob.
A wise stick bug. Is there such a thing? I don't know. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We're going to be reviewing A Bug's Life. This is the second Pixar full-length animated feature, and I saw somebody in chat. It was Jayware that said, "I miss this Pixar." Yeah, this is back in the beginning when we were like, Pixar, what's that? There was the people that did the Toy Story movie, and now they're doing this bug movie. These are the things that put them on the map back in the day. And I assume, Shannon, you picked this movie. So why did you pick it? Is this one that you watched in the theater? Is this your favorite Pixar movie?
I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but the music, the score is something that has stuck with me for my entire life. I can hum that score. I hear it in the parks. And to me, that it just makes it really nostalgic for me. And it was something I enjoyed as a kid. And I guess we'll have to stay tuned to see do what I recommended or not, and what are my thoughts
Well,
now
I
as an
mean,
adult.
yeah, the question is always, does it stand the test of time? Because it's been a minute. And let's take a look at the stat board for this one. So the runtime of this one is an hour 35, which I'm always happy when it's under 2 hours. So thank you for that, Shannon. It was released November 25th, 1998. Do you remember the
The 90s were
1900s?
the
Wow.
best. Oh, yeah.
It was rated G. It was the box office was 363 million on a 120 million dollar budget, and it was again made by Pixar. I still find it funny a little bit that people don't always know the difference between like DreamWorks and Pixar and all these other studios. But now that Disney has bought so many of them, with Pixar and 20th Century Fox's animation, it does. I guess it all does start to sort of blend together. So this is part of the Pixar lineup, and there is a Pixar tab on Disney Plus when you go in there, and they've added Elio. It's in the lineup here now. I'm assuming when Jayware says that he misses this Pixar, he's not talking about Elio. He's talking about, but Elio is just dropped on Disney Plus. So if you guys have not checked that out, you can check it out and see what all the hubbub's about. I know that Pixar shamed people who wished for original movies, and they were like, well, you don't want sequels, here's an original movie, what are you guys doing, why aren't you coming in and loving this movie? So that was the thing that happened. A Bug's Life is one of the few, Shannon, that has never had a sequel. Should we talk about
Yeah.
that from the get? I mean, I feel like that's they Toy Story 5 is coming out. We have Incredibles 3 is coming out. Coco 2 is coming out. Where's Flick's second feature?
I actually thought about this earlier. I was trying to think, was there a Bug's Life 2? No, there wasn't. But I think that is intentional, and I think it was the right move. Spoiler alert, I think this is a great movie, but it wasn't that great or that worthy of a sequel like Toy Story was. So maybe I'm being
Well,
harsh.
and people are up in arms about should there be five Toy Stories, right? It just, again, Inside Out, it had an Inside Out too. Some movies feel like they shouldn't have a sequel. Up
Hmm.
feels like it shouldn't have a sequel, and they've done the right thing with that IP and having, like, the Doug shorts that come out. There was a sequel to it. If you think about It's Tough to Be a Bug, remember that? Remember Tough to Be a Bug? That was
Mm,
a thing. That was sort of a
so
sequel.
glad it's gone.
Oh,
Good riddance.
really? Well, let's talk about that at the end of this one then. Um, so with any Pixar movie, the cast is everything. I love the fact that Dave Foley is Flick in this, and I was watching some behind the scenes stuff, and they were saying that, like, he originally auditioned for a smaller role. He had seen
Mm.
Toy Story, knew what a big deal it was to be part of this new Pixar brand. and he had just thought he was just going to get a smaller role, and when he went in and read for the whatever he read for, they were like, he should be the lead. And I can't imagine anybody else doing this. He's got that slightly bumbling Kids in the Hall vibe about this. It is funny also that Kevin McDonald, who was in Kids in the Hall as well, is Pleakley in Stitch. So the kids are big influences in the Disney products. So the rest of the cast though is pretty strong, but it's funny to me that when I hear like Brad Garrett as Dim, all I think about is the fact that he's in other things.
I'm shocked that you called him out first and not John Ratzenberger, because
Well,
I had it on and my husband goes, "Is that Ham?" And I said, well, "Yeah." But he's like, "He's not even changing the voice. It's the same exact voice." And he's been in
yeah,
so many Pixar movies.
right. But like the thing about Brad Garrett's voice to me is he's got that very deep voice that really stands out. Yeah, we know John Ratzenberger's like their charm, their lucky charm
Yeah.
for a while, and was in every Pixar movie in some little capacity. But Brad Garrett was had a larger role in Finding Nemo. So, and then was in Finding Dory, and did a few other things, including Planes, Fire, and Rescue. He was in that. So he is done. He was the hook-handed thug, as they called him, in Tangled.
Yeah.
He was, he was in several other, things, including he was Gusteau in Ratatouille. So he's been in a ton of Disney stuff, but this isn't the one I like think of ever as like a Brad Garrett joint, right?
Yeah.
And Bonnie Hunt, same thing. Bonnie Hunt is will always be Sally to me from Cars, but she's Rosie in this one. As you mentioned, John Ratzenberger has a fairly large role in this one as P.T. Flea. Although you wanna just smack him around when he messes it up for everybody. But he was John Ratzenberger was the magic for Pixar for forever, and he was in Soul. He was in Inside Out 2. He was on the TV show Monsters at Work, but he hasn't been in a ton of the more recent movies. Do you think that that's why the shine has come off the Pixar penny, is because John Ratzenberger's not in there? Is that the deal?
Well, it looks like he's going to be in Toy Story 5. Well, obviously he's going to be in Toy Story 5 because he's Ham. So maybe we're going to bring the charm back.
Yeah, obviously he's going to be in there. Looking back again at the cast, though, the other one that strikes me is, David Hyde Pierce. I don't feel like he was also in. What was he? He was in Treasure Planet. Is that the one he was in? I know that he did a voice. Yeah, he was in Treasure Planet. So he was Dr. Doppler in Treasure Planet. But he didn't do a lot of voices. He was, Frasier's brother Niles on Frasier, but he didn't do a lot of voices in general. But I do think it's cool that he does this one, and he's the stick bug. Anyway, in general, the cast, like, one of the other ones that's a surprise is that Dot was Hayden Panettiere from Save
Oh,
the
yeah.
Cheerleader, Save the
Yeah.
World, right? Richard Kind was in this he had done a lot of voices. Phyllis Diller was in this. She passed away probably not long after. Kevin Spacey. I mean, it's a big cast. It's a big cast for
Yeah,
for the
it
for a
is.
for a sophomore movie, right?
Well, they had a big budget too, which I wonder how much of that went to the actors. 120 million seems big, but maybe I've not been. Maybe I'm not thinking about the other ones.
How much do you usually invest when you're putting your money into an animated film?
Not 120 million.
Not 120 million. So yeah. Anyway, the cast. I think that some of them, went on to be bigger, and some of them kind of disappeared or were canceled. Joe Ranft, who was Heimlich, is the standout to me. Who was a Pixar animator who ended up he passed away in a car crash, but
Um,
he really kind of, I feel like, makes the movie as Heimlich. I mean, that's one of my favorite characters in this thing, and just
Let
really
me
makes
ask
me
you a
laugh.
question.
Yeah.
Has John Lasseter always had a small role? Because it says that he was one of the mosquitoes. Or
Yeah, the I think he and Andrew Stanton maybe were the voices of the ones that were headed towards the light, and he's like, "Don't go to it." He's like, "But
yeah.
it's so beautiful." I don't think he normally did, but of course he doesn't anymore. Um,
Yikes.
yeah, exactly. Madeline Kahn was the gypsy moth, and she again. I mean, it's a lot of like very
Julia
famous
Louis
people.
Dreyfus, I didn't never realize was Princess Ada.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, and then again, I mentioned Richard Kind. Um, Roddy McDowall was a big deal. He was in Planet of the Apes. He was in a lot of movies. He was a childhood actor, and he was Mr. Soil. He was the one that led them around the leaf.
Mm.
Um, yeah. Edie McClurg, Dr. Flora, she was a big deal. So, yeah, great cast. Again, I think they just hit him at the right time. And I don't know that they spent all 120 million on this, but I'm sure they spent a good amount of money on that cast. So, let's move on to talk a little bit about the animation, because the animation, and I feel like we've talked about this before, maybe when we were talking about Toy Story or Toy Story 2 or something, that it goes back and forth for me. Sometimes I look at it and go, wow, that animation is amazing for 1998. And then at times I look at it and go, wow, we made dinosaurs in 1993. In 1998, we couldn't make ants? Like, I mean, so I kind of go back and forth about it. This sweeping scene as we come into the thing is beautiful and iconic,
Yeah.
and coming to what they're calling the island, um, seeing the grass from far away, and the dandelions and the tree and the bark and the shade. It's really well done, and then that big reveal that they have as we get in tighter and tighter and tighter to the ants climbing up and getting the grains off of the grass, or off of the whatever that is. I'm not I'm not into plants. I can't tell you any of that stuff. But I do think that it almost goes from it being realistic to being cartoonish as they get closer. But then the ants themselves, I don't think they were great. And then like the choice to make them all purple seems weird.
Yeah, the color threw me off, but they're like blue and purple, right? There was a combination. But I do think that it improved from Toy Story 1, which was 95. So 95 to 98. I look back at it now and obviously I'm like, "Ooh, this animation isn't too great." But I think for the time, we did see at least improvement from Toy Story.
Yeah. But again, like there's the ants in general. I look at them and I'm just like, could we not have done better on this one? One of the things that Andrew Stanton and John Lasseter talked about, there was a behind the scenes extra, not many, but there is something on the on Disney Plus for this, and they were talking about this is the best time they ever had making a movie, and like the most like trying time they ever had making a movie. So they're like, depending on what we're talking about, sometimes we look back on it fondly, and sometimes we look back on it as a nightmare that we're glad is over. So they talked a lot about the treatment changed and the story changed a lot from the original. But again, if I look at this, we talked about this with Toy Story. When you're making toys, the plastic, they can look plastic, but if you look at that ant on the left,
Yeah.
is that where we were going with it? I don't know. So again,
I
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I do see that Pixar did make the choice just for visual reasons, for presentation reasons. Like black, brown, and red ants wouldn't pop as well, so I can understand why they did it, and
But there's a
it's a
whole
choice.
generation, Shannon, that thinks that ants are bluish purple. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah, and then honestly, though, with the way that the animation works, one of the challenges of this one, and again, they talked about this, was almost everything is organic in this. You've got grass and fire and water with the
Hmm.
rain and regular water and like dust and dirt and trees and birds, and everything is just very organic, as opposed to like we talked about. We've reviewed Toy Story 1
Hmm.
and 2, those movies, it's just mostly toys. And we saw that in Toy Story 2, they got better with human animation. At least they didn't really have to pull that off in this one.
Yeah.
But some of the bugs look better, I feel like, than the ants do. But then again, they did have to make a lot of ants.
It's a lot of ants. Not to be confused with ants with a Z.
The same movie that came out from a different studio. Um, yeah. So anyway, so this is their second movie. They had a lot of pressure on them to make this movie. It was right after they had gone public, so this was like the first one that they had stockholders, watching them on this one. And it was originally called Bugs instead of A Bug's Life when it came out. And it was originally supposed to be a red ant that was part of the circus troupe, who was the lead. And then these two bugs, like the country bugs, came to town looking for some warrior bugs, and he saw this as an opportunity to get them some work. And so he was on the other side at the time, the lead bug that was called Red. Very, very, very unique naming convention that the red ant is called Red. Anyway,
Cute.
but they were talking about the fact, though, that if they were to have written that one out, that there would have been no one would have cared. There was no stakes for him. And so the fact that they then shifted it to one of these country ants that came looking for help, there were now stakes for them because they were there to protect their family, their colony. And, so they had to rewrite it during the process. And, I think now when they rewrite something like Elio, they have to present it at D23 or something like that because they're part of the Disney company, and present it to all the fans. And when we see that and they go, hey, here's this movie, and we're like, great. And then 2 years later, they're like, okay, it's not that movie anymore. It's completely different. That always worries me. So the fact that this one was something that they had redone the treatment along the way and it still worked out was great. What do you think about all the puns, like the bug puns? I feel like they're especially in the bar, they go over the top.
I love the bug. Who doesn't love a pun, even if it's a bug pun?
I don't know you. I don't know what you do, Shannon. Maybe you don't love a pun. But I love how he ordered a black flag and he's like a little bit of hair of the dog, and then it's like
Bloody Mary. He's like
Mary.
Bloody Mary, and then it was like
positive.
the blood. Yeah, positive. Yeah.
And then and then there was a line, and it's some of them are so quick and funny that you just hear them in the background. There's a line where one of the bugs in that bar scene says, "Hey waitress, I'm in my soup."
Yeah, the fly.
And then when I think it's a slug goes to eat the food, and he's like, "Hey, I told you there's no salt. I can't do salt," and his just mouth is foaming.
Yeah, that was part of the city scene, right? When Flick. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that scene because you could tell his country boy is overwhelmed, and I thought it was hysterical when that downtrodden bug was on the side with the cardboard sign that said, "A kid pulled my wings off." I'm like, the connection to a real city life. Like, I don't know if that crossed the line or not, but to me, I think it gave me a chuckle.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here's that cut, so you can see.
Yeah, kid pulled my wings off.
And yeah, I don't know. There's so much that happens in that scene so fast.
Yeah.
Again, but here's a question, Shannon, because I always pick on the rules of a movie like this, is that they've never been allowed to go off of the island. And so
Right.
Flick's like, I'm going to go to the city. How does he know where the city is? How does he know what the city is? How does he know how to get to the city? What's going to be in the city? Like, how does he know these things?
That's true. Yeah, and I wanted to so badly know what the island was, and I was really trying to pay attention to the opening scene and the closing scene to see if we could understand what it is, but I don't think we ever really do. It's not really an island, but I was trying to think of, is it, a hilltop or something like that? I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It feels like it's kind of like there's a dry riverbed around it, which is all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
cracked dirt
yeah.
around the inside of it, and then it's kind of like this tree and grass that are flourishing on the other side or in the middle of all of it. So,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely interesting. I love all the little hidden things too. Is like this is this upside down cup that's sitting on top of that. It has the Pizza Planet logo sort of
Oh,
halfway on it, and it's listed as a mega gulp. You know, so I think, and then all the bugs are like painted. Some of the bugs are painted like taxis. That's weird, right? Because how do they know what taxis look like? Um, and this city is really just like at some dude's in some dude's backyard, and it
yeah.
looks like it's the Pizza Planet guy's backyard because when we come up to them again, just myriads of Easter eggs happening all the time here. So here's the place, and you can see it's the Pizza Planet truck parked at this
I
trailer.
didn't even
So I
notice that. Brilliant.
what?
I
I,
know.
so I guess at this point they're saying this is what the Pizza Planet guy lives off of, money wise. But here again, here's a great scene. This is the scene you were talking about with,
Yeah.
I think, John Lasseter and Andrew Stanton. But like there were fireflies and all that. But this is apparently where the city is because Flick walks up to this and then walks through some boxes and then turns the corner and then sees this whole like world that's in here.
Yeah.
That's like basically under this guy's porch. Um, you know the whole A113 thing, right? The
The
Caltech
classroom. Yeah.
classroom that they had. When he first walks into to this into the place, if you look on that box behind him, you can see. Well, let
I
me.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it says A113, and I assume 1195 refers to Toy Story in some way. Maybe one. I'm not really sure about that part, but yeah, that's the A113 that's there. So, but again, like in this room, there's so many like names that I assume that everybody who had a kid named their kid, put their kid's name in here because if you look at it, it's like Jackson's Jumbo Pretzels
Darla.
and yeah, and Darla, who was the producer, who then was like also seen in as Darla, the little girl in Finding
Yeah.
Nemo, but she was one of the producers on this, so her name is in here. Joey's, uh, Ben and Aiden's. Like I feel like they must have gone. Whose kid needs to be in this scene? It's got to be right. Hannah's Bananas. I don't know.
Fun.
So anyway, I do like the way they do these in world versions, whether it's Monsters World, Toy. There's really
Mhm.
not a toys world, but like the monster world or the bugs world to see like what these visions look like. Even I didn't love Onward mostly because it's super sad, but like even the world that they build there, it's really neat to see how they do things, and it's always an excuse to do some puns and some jokes and things. So I did love the way all that worked out. But I don't know what this big bug. I guess this is
Good daddy
like a
long
daddy
leg.
long legs. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so Flick is a train wreck. I hate when that happens because I start to feel it internally, like when
Oh.
I screw up, because he's trying so hard and he's trying to make these inventions and do things and he can't do anything right, and so he decides to go to the big city to find these warrior bugs to help them to fight Hopper and the grasshoppers, and so he misunderstands that these are actors in a circus and not actually warrior bugs, and he brings them back home. And the scene where the little bugs, the little ants, like do their presentation, and the warrior bugs find out why they're really there is hilarious, right?
Yeah, what is that whole thing that they were doing? The whole like ant ritual. That's what you're referring to, right? Were they
Well,
like
it was
doing a little
it
dance?
was no, I mean it was them like they were entertaining, I guess, the doing like a class presentation for the warrior bugs, and they roll out
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
thing,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and they're like telling the story as storytellers would. I mean, it's a trope that we've seen in a bunch of different things. I know that they used it in one of the Thor movies to kind of tell the story of Asgard, and But I love like they have Heimlich dead, and they're like, our teacher said to make one of you dead for effect. It made it more
Oh,
dramatic.
or I'm like,
And then Heimlich literally turns a different color when he sees his bloody corpse laying there on that thing. So, and and then they figure it out and they want to leave, and then Flick tries to get him to stay, and then Francis breaks his leg and they have to come back, and then he's got a plan. And I mean, we've all seen this movie, I feel like, or we wouldn't be here right now. But I mean, sometimes when you go back and rewatch it, you see things, or you see things that you didn't see the first time. And I think it's interesting, like that the pill bugs, Tuck and Roll,
mm-hmm.
are speaking in an according to my like captions, like an unidentified foreign language. Like I thought it was
Well,
Russian. I don't know
no, I
why.
think when I looked it up, it said Hungarian, but they did use a combination of like true Hungarian and gibberish.
Hmm.
But that's what
That
they were going for. And I
that would
do find it like comical that there were, in terms of the circus troupe, some stereotypes, right? And like, I don't know. I thought it was cute that I just love them as characters, and
yeah.
the fact that they can't really communicate, but they still like have a great time anyway.
I got to tell you, as from an animation standpoint, I love this bird. It's very simple,
Yeah.
but and he's sort of our villain, but also our hero. Um, but I think that bird's
Yeah.
a really cool bird. I like that bird.
One thing that did bother me about the movie, though, is that I was thinking through everything that Disney and Pixar, everything that they do has a purpose and has intention. And I was thinking about what are the dynamics in real life between grasshoppers and ants? And there aren't any, at least none that I could find. So that was a little disappointing to me. Like there truly is no relation, no
Right.
conflict between the two.
Well, right. But I think what happened in this particular case, if I can draw from context, Shannon, I wasn't on the scene when they were writing this, but if I could draw from context in this one, I think that the point of it is that somewhere along the line, Hopper realized he could take advantage of these ants by intimidating them,
Of
and
course.
then they were intimidated enough to provide him food year after year into his group, and then he realizes that if he doesn't remain the oppressor, that they'll realize at some point that they have some control over this situation and fight back. So I mean, I think that in that case, it's really, for a kid, it's about, hey, you may have a bully, but if you've got friends, you
Sure, but then pick something like I'm thinking of the Lion King, the lion and the wildebeest. Let's say there's a stampede of wildebeest. They're always going to outnumber a lion, right? So I don't. I was thinking more of
and we see what happened
realistic.
there. Did not end well for Mufasa.
It did not.
Although I may have told this story before on our park show, as I was on a Kilimanjaro safari tour, and we saw the wildebeest, and I said something. I said, "Oh, those are the ones that killed Mufasa." And the guy who was driving heard me. He goes, "Well, no, that's not true. Scar killed Mufasa." And I was like, "Oh, oh, sorry. I'll just sit back
Let's
here
just.
and
Oh my God.
I'll just put my
The
head down."
semantics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, being that guy, that's the thing we always try not to do when there's Disney people around, is like try to like correct people, like, that you overhear. But this guide was going to make sure that I knew that that was not,
So funny.
maybe I don't know if he's team wildebeest or not, but it's like, okay, this was all Scar's fault, and it had nothing to do with the death. Anyway, yeah, I do think there's a message here, but I see what you're saying. Like, there's not like an actual predator prey
Hmm.
situation
Correct.
with
Yeah.
with it's just the matter of it's a bug that's bigger, and so it can tell them what to do or threaten them, and that's what Flick's job was. Is his mind works in such a way that he wants to go get the bigger bug.
Yeah.
Like, there's always a bigger bug. Like, I feel like, what was it, Phantom Menace, where it's like there's always a bigger fish. um So there's always a bigger bug. And so that he goes to find these warrior bugs, and then, there's a misunderstanding which happens, and there's always a secret, isn't there, Shannon? Like in all the movies, there's always a secret. There's always a secret, and the protagonist is trying to not let the secret get out, and then he has every intention of coming clean, and then doesn't get a chance to, and then the other person that he's been lying to all along finds out, and then he's ostracized. And that's how we end Act 2 of every movie that's like this of all time ever, is they get caught in the lie. And then in Act 3, it's the protagonist making it up, coming back, getting his wings, the wind beneath his wings and all that. So I don't know. So let me just stop here for a second and say thank you to everybody who's watching. I appreciate you guys being here. I'm looking in the chat, and I see Ronald and Fire Chief and Jay Ware and Mrs. Fire Chief, and I see somebody else up in there in the chat, TSN6899. Thank you guys all for being here tonight and watching this with us, and talking about a kids movie. Or is it a kids movie? That's the thing too. Is it a kids movie? I feel like Pixar has always been sort of on multiple levels and something for everybody. It's a family film in the same way that the parks are made for families. These films should be made for everyone to partake in. But I would like to challenge my good friend Shannon here, with some trivia, which she said she would definitely not be good at tonight.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So I'm gonna have to pick and choose here a little bit to make sure that I make it fair, make it a good fight here. Not a fight. It's all civil. We're good. Jay Ware says Pixar is for everyone. Yes, I agree. So here's the first one. This should be easy. There were several references to Disney things in this movie, like. There was like the Casey's Jr., like the animal cracker box that P.T. Flea had. I feel like there was a Lion King reference at some point.
There was
in there, and so there's a rabid grasshopper. He's just rabid. He's just crazy, and they give him a name that's very very Disney-esque. What is the name of that grasshopper? That crazy nuts. Ah! What is that grasshopper's name?
I don't remember the name, but I remember it not fitting the character. Mm-hmm. It was a Disney name.
Yeah, Jay Ware said "Circle of Life" reference. That's what it was. It's I feel like it's Hopper that says it's all a circle of life kind of thing or whatever. Yeah, but that's.
I'm not going to get this one.
No, okay.
I remember hearing it, but it didn't stick with me because it was so odd.
And Hopper calls him this several times. It's Thumper.
Yes, because I was thinking it was the complete opposite of the Bambi character.
Yeah. The hints the guesses in the chat were Chopper and Flooper. I don't know. But yeah, it was Thumper, which I thought was cute. Okay, you ready for this one? Yeah. This one's a little outside the box, Shannon. And if you saw this in the theater, this may be something that's an easy one for you. For this second movie, Pixar put a Pixar short on front of this movie when they released it. What was the short that ran before A Bug's Life in the movie theater?
I don't know the name of it, but is it the one where he's playing chess with himself?
It is. It is that one. Because that character comes back in Toy Story 2.
Yes.
But you don't remember the name of it?
No.
Yeah. It's Jerry's Game, which Jay Ware has called out, but it's Jerry's Game. Yeah. Which I love that short. I didn't quite understand it the very first time I saw it. I was like, what happened? It was just him the whole time? Or is it a twin brother? Or what's happening here? And then he comes back in Toy Story 2, and there's a reference as he's cleaning up Woody and making him all nice and pretty and fixing his arm, and he opens up one of the drawers and there's chess pieces in it. I think we talked about that. But yeah, the Jerry's Game. The Queen has a pet Do you know the pet's name?
Yeah. Is it
I thought
aphid?
I thought you froze for a second
Or
because you were just so still. I was like, did we have a technical difficulty
no,
here?
no. Isn't it aphid or something like that?
Aphie. Yep, that's close
Aphid.
enough.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like you get that one. I feel like you get that one. Um, the I can't really ask you that one, can I? Okay, so Francis is going to leave. They're all leaving. And Francis says, I was going to teach the kids to play
Yes.
a card game. What was the card
I
game that
I
Francis
had
was going
to
to teach them?
I googled it because I hadn't heard of it before. It was I don't even know the name of it. Casada, something like that. I
Just
was
keep
like,
saying
what
that.
is that?
Just keep saying that. Have you never really heard of that?
Never heard of it.
Canasta.
Canasta. I wanted to keep saying Catan, some version of Catan, but no.
Yeah, Mrs. Fire Chief said canasta instead of Ronald. Yeah, yeah, it's canasta. I couldn't tell you how to play it. It feels like an old game. Like like my mom used to play bridge. It feels like it's in that realm. Like
Well,
I've
I didn't
never
even
played
know
it.
it
I
was a
don't know the
game.
rules.
And
Yeah.
that's why I was like, is this some like one of those like early 90s or 90s when they threw in some like adult innuendo and I need to like understand what it is? And then when I saw the card game,
Ronald said my mom plays that with her friends a lot. That's the only way I thought of it. So yeah,
so funny.
Katana,
Catan. I was thinking of
cantata. Yeah, it's canasta. Yeah. So the last one,
no, no.
yeah. This should be easy. This should be easy. When we were talking about the cast, I purposely left somebody out. Francis the Ladybug
Yeah, I don't know.
was, I'll give you this, was voiced by Dennis Leary. What character did Dennis Leary also voice in another animated series for another company that is now owned by Disney?
I have no idea.
What? I
Can I
thought
take
that
a
would be
hint?
easy. We've reviewed it recently, but not you. Somebody else did. I don't know that you would have known. He voiced
No.
Diego in Ice Age, the tiger, the
Oh,
saber-toothed tiger.
never would have got that.
Yeah, I just thought that
I
was
think
kind
I've
of
seen Ice Age once.
yeah. Yeah. All right. One just bonus question. What was the name of the soda that was so prominent in the made-up soda that was so prominent in the city? Do you remember that?
No. I
PJ's
couldn't
soda.
watch that part. I did. I loved the name PT Flea. I couldn't think of it, but like PT Barnum, PT
Yeah.
Flea. I thought that was really cute.
Should I have somehow put that into a trivia question that you would have been able to
Yeah,
answer? I'm
yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
And you know what I loved on the Casey Jr. box, the cookie box? I love how it said "now more sugar." I appreciated that.
That was funny. But like the PJ's soda is like prominent here. It's like
I
some kind of
see.
a Times Square situation. Also, do you notice the Lion King poster? It's underneath the Darla thing.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Again, lots of Easter eggs in this thing. Thank you for doing the trivia. Thank you guys in the chat for doing the trivia. Mrs. Fire Chief said the bloopers were very funny at the end. Did you watch the bloopers in the end,
I
during the
didn't.
credits? Yeah.
I've seen them in the
Um,
past, but didn't rewatch.
yeah, they are in the credits. But you can also watch them separately as an extra if you watch if you look at the extras that are on Disney Plus. All right. Well, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. The other thing that was a Disney reference was one of the guys yells out, "Jiminy H. Cricket." So, Yeah, I hate how PT Flea ruins everything. So PT Flea shows up and basically just blows up their spot and says, "No, these are not warrior bugs. These are circus bugs, and I've been looking for them. Come on, guys, let's go!" And he just ruins everything, and everybody gets like kicks, Flick to the curb, and then they're all going to leave. But then Dot comes to the rescue and tells them that they have to come back and save the colony because Hopper is going to eat all the food and then crush her mom. Which, by the way, it feels like when you're watching it, the mom doesn't feel like it should be the mom. The mom feels like Dot's grandmother because of
Yeah,
the seemingly age difference between Dot and Ada and the Queen is so vast. It feels like, and
agreed.
in real life too, if you think of like Hayden Panettiere and like Phyllis Diller and their age difference, that should be, and the way that they make her out, she should be, the Queen should be her grandmother, but is not. She's her mother. By the way, there's a creepy scene I feel like when the Queen tells the fan guy like to come with her and maybe like he can oil her up or something. Like it's something, and he's clearly like
Rumbling.
much younger, and he's like, oh, okay, like it was just some goofy little off-brand thing. But like Jay Wars said, Pixar's for everybody, so why not throw that kind of stuff out there. There are a lot of little moments that are kind of cool. The death of Hopper is terrifying, Shannon.
I was gonna say that end is honestly a little traumatizing. It's horrifying, and I
Yeah.
don't know why I forgot about that as as a kid, or did it not? It
Well,
must not have bothered me.
so let's parlay this into talking about the attraction that closed, which was
Oh
Tough to
god.
Be a Bug. Now, Tough to Be a Bug was in Disney California Adventure, and it was in the Animal Kingdom in the Tree of Life. And so that, as most people know, closed this year. But that show was traumatic.
Yeah, it was a one and done for me. I never needed to go back.
When Hopper appeared, and my son liked this movie, but when Hopper appeared, it was scary because he's like the big villain, and he would appear out of smoke and like kind of bring an end to everything, and then like the woman would do the fly swatter out into the audience, and you would get sprayed with like, and it got dark. And like, and then the spiders come down, and then you
That's
get
where
the
I was
bee stings
done.
in the back,
Oof.
and then you get the grubs under your butt. I mean, it's just, that was a traumatic show. And yet I think, I mean, I don't know. Think it was still well done. I mean, to have a 3D show where the animatronic comes down out of the ceiling and goes back up, and there were some comedy bits, and you had like, they brought in some other voice talents like Cheech Marin to do like the spider, Chili, and then and I mean, and just the vibes in there and the comedy of it. I think it was well done. It just was dark.
Dark and the things crawling. I was never a fan. You know what it reminded me of was Honey, I Shrunk the Audience and
Mm.
the mice scene when you could feel the mice crawling up. I don't remember if it was like on your legs or whatever. That always freaked me out as a child and I hated it. And I don't like bugs. So the fact that they added that element plus bugs, I said never again. I couldn't tell you anything about the show,
What?
nor do I care to.
Okay. Um. Yeah. Well, they made you an honorary bug. I don't know. Top to bottom, I feel like it was well done. But also, again, I just remember that when my kids were small, we took my son in, and he never wanted to go back again. So I mean, like you look at the art, like the detail on the seats, and um, I don't know. It was well done, but yeah, it was
Well,
dark. I mean, it
and
was
I think thematic,
dark.
like it made sense to put it in the Tree of Life, right?
Yeah.
Like a bug show within the tree. And that really helped that element of shrinking down where maybe Ratatouille, it fails at that, right? How many people have made fun of that tile floor, how it goes from normal tile to big tile and there's really no transition? I felt like this kind of worked in that you were making your way kind of in the roots of the tree. The roots were getting kind of bigger and you were the size of a bug and the bugs were the size of you, which made it even more terrifying.
Ah, Topper. So you're all team Zootopia better Zootgether. You're
I'm
ready.
team anything. I think even though I have very low expectations on this being an enjoyable attraction, it doesn't matter because I know it's something that I'm going to do. It's going to be something new for me, and it's hopefully not going to be traumatizing because there won't be bugs. So
Yeah.
literally anything can be better.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I, I'm not going to miss that show, I guess, as much. I don't think I'm going to be traumatized that it's gone. My only downside about Zootopia being here is that it means we're not getting into Zootopia Land. It's like a guarantee at this point we're not getting the Shanghai Zootopia Land, and I would love to have that be a thing. And Walt Disney World, especially at the Animal Kingdom, it seems like it makes too much sense. So this, because
Mm-hmm.
it's going to have the Clawhauser animatronic that they have in Shanghai inside the ride, makes it seem like they just aren't going to do that. It was originally in the blueprint for the remodel of the Dino Land when it was going to be Coco and I think it was going to be no, it was going to be Moana and Zootopia.
Mm-hmm.
Made way too much sense for the Animal Kingdom, and then they were like, "No, let's put Encanto and Indiana Jones." So
Maybe
I
you
think
need
those
to
were the
take travel out. But my hot take is that I'm glad there's not a Zootopia land because I think it's just way too cartoonish. It just reminds me of another Toontown.
well, but see, I think the way that they could have done that is that they could have put you on that train and taken you out to Conservation Station and made that Zootopia, and that way it would have been kind of in a bottle. But that's not what they were planning on doing. But so I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. This land, did you ever go to a Bugs Land?
When did it close? Because my first trip to Disneyland was 2016, so it may have been there.
Did you see Avengers?
On recent trips, but I
Okay,
think that first trip it was still there. But
gotcha.
I didn't go on the attractions or anything. No.
Well, I got to tell you
Heimlich
that
choo choo.
it was a kids zone or a kids area, and which again is like okay, um, those things should exist in a place like that. But the Heimlich's Choo Choo Train was definitely something my entire family loved, and it was silly. It was a silly little thing, and you got in this little train and you went around. But Heimlich, like I said, cracked me up, and so to hear him go, "Oh, candy corn," just was it was great, and the smells, like the smellitzers were kicking. It was pretty cool. So interesting to me that like a lot of times when we'll do these reviews on A Look on the Plus side, we'll talk about the fact that they don't have a lot of IP about whatever it is. We did a review of 101 Dalmatians, and where's that in the parks other than being at the All-Star movies? And we also talked about, how there should be more IP for in the parks for things like Bambi and stuff like that. This one actually had IP in the parks, and now it's all gone.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a shame.
wiped from the face of the earth. And I don't know what they could do to bring it back at this point because that movie seemed to make sense. So the 3D movie seemed to make sense, and again they put it at both parks. Those rides were really cute, and then they moved Flix Flyers and rethemed it to the Inside Out emotional whirlwind over at Pixar Pier. So I don't know. I
I
would
do
like to
wonder.
see these characters and represented a little bit more, but not over the top wise. I just mean, yeah. What were you gonna say?
No, I'd love to understand the data. I'm trying to think of families with little kids, and maybe this is just my bias, but I think parents tend to put on those classic movies. But I wonder how often they do come back to those Pixar movies and maybe like some of the less popular. Like I don't think A Bug's Life was obviously not the most popular compared to a Toy Story. Um, so maybe there's just data to support that no one's really watching it anymore, and it doesn't make sense to re-add this IP in anywhere, which is sad.
Yeah. Well, again, I would love to see the classic Disney IP infused in more than more than it is. So if I had to pick, I think that when John Lasseter was overseeing all of the animation and Imagineering, he was like, you know what? I did this movie called Cars. We should have a Cars Land. And by the way, I always thought that was a bad idea. From the second I stepped into it, I was like, this
Oh,
is the best land. And I still think it is. I can't think of a
yeah,
better one.
agreed.
Like, it is
Agreed.
the most immersive, could spend all day in there, the food, the whole thing. It's just really fun. And so they nailed it with that one. But, and the Toy Story stuff, I don't think they've ever done it justice. Some of the Toy Story lands around the world are just kind of okay. But there is a lot of Toy Story IP out there.
Hmm.
I don't know. But I think he was very, excited about doing um, doing all of the. Well, I have access to Imagineering. Let's just do all kinds of Pixar. So I think maybe John Lasseter may have been the linchpin that made the quality that was there. And now that he's gone, they're kind of still struggling for that. I love Pete Docter. I think he's great. I think
Hmm.
Andrew Stanton's
Hmm.
great. So we'll see what happens with some of these upcoming movies, like Hoppers, that's supposed to be out soon, and Toy Story 5, and and the rest of them. But for now, the Bug's Life is kind of fading a little bit from the parks. But again, we've got it here because you chose for it to be here. Anything else you want to talk about before we get to final judgment on this one?
No, we covered everything.
Okay. I want to give a big shout out to everybody who's been here with us tonight. Really appreciate you guys joining us on the Look on the Plus side on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. This Friday night, we have more programming on the Park Adventures Club. This Friday night, I'm going to be live at 8:30 doing a haul of popcorn buckets, sippers, and pins. Oh, my. We're going to talk about all of those things on Friday night, so join me then live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and then Sunday night at 8:30 we do our park show, and it's called the Park Adventures Club. It's kind of the meat and potatoes of what we do here at Park Adventures Club. So come hang out with us at 8:30 p.m. for that, and then next Wednesday night, I believe is I think Stephanie is coming, and we're going to talk about Sister Act. So there you go.
Classic.
But again, shout out to our PAC, our Park Adventurers Club. If you would like to learn more about that, you can go to patreon.com/go PAC. But thank you so much to all of our PAC members, but also a big shout out to our Zebra Mezzanine and our Treasure Room supporters. Don't forget, we have tons of content on this show, including the Castaway show from Stephanie, and our very own Shannon does her own show, and it's called The Happiest Stays. So check that out here, or you can go to stays.parkadventuresclub.com to find it anytime. So, Shannon, now is the time. Now is the best time because I get to ask you. Somebody's flipping through the Disney Plus. They come across A Bug's Life and they're like, Shannon, I know you're a huge fan of all things Disney slash Pixar. The question is, would you recommend? I know you like it, but would you recommend this movie?
I have to say that I would recommend it. It's not my favorite. It's not going to be the best, but it's by no means bad. I think there's enough humor in it that you can appreciate it even as an adult. The storyline is relatable to adults. So, whether you have kids or not, I think it's something that you can put on if you're really bored and need something to watch. But I wouldn't go running to it and consider it, a Pixar cult classic, unfortunately. But I mean, we didn't even touch upon actually when you said, was there anything to talk about? I kind of mentioned at the beginning, the score is so iconic for me. I think it's beautiful. And I even love the song at the end when the credits roll. So if for nothing else, watch it for that.
The Randy Newman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. You know what, Shannon? What was that movie that we watched? Blank Check.
Yeah. Oh
Um.
my gosh.
No, no, thank you. I wouldn't watch that one again. But I mean, this is a '90s movie. I think that's your
Hmm.
wheelhouse is the '90s stuff. And so, even though it was
Hmm.
1998, it's still a '90s movie. Hard to believe that it came out in 1998. What's that? 27 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, it's still got that '90s vibe. As Jay Ware said, it's like that old school Pixar when they couldn't miss with anything that they did. Um, and it sits right between two of the Toy Story movies in its release, and this was their big sophomore debut of and their debut of being a public company, and I think they really brought it with this one. I don't mind rewatching this one over and over again. It is still entertaining to me. The voice cast, the gags, the little inside jokes, and all of the Easter eggs. I really do enjoy this one. So I don't think that you have to have seen anything else to be able to sit down and enjoy this one. And it certainly isn't a must watch anymore to somebody going to the parks because all that's gone. But I would still recommend it if you've got some time. That soundtrack is amazing. My wife was like, "This feels like the Cars music, like that like the grand sweeping music that I've probably heard in other places and not associated with A Bug's Life because it feels more westerny. I feel like than." Which I guess is kind of in Randy Newman's wheelhouse because of the whole like Toy Story vibe of the cowboy stuff. So yeah, it's I think it's definitely a must watch, and I think it probably gets forgotten behind the 900 Toy Story movies and the monsters and the others the Incredibles that are out there. So.
Hmm.
Yeah, go give it a rewatch and let us know in the comments below what you think. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We appreciate it. Shannon, thanks as always for doing this show. Have a great rest of your week. Hopefully, we'll see you Friday night right back here on Park Adventurers Club for a little haul at 8:30, and then Sunday night for our show, the Park Adventurers Club. Can't wait to see you then. And if not, have a great rest of your week, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Do 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 do.